have a meal for like $6, $7. So it's really not that expensive. So of course you can also go to Michelin star restaurant. Like Tokyo has the largest number of Michelin star restaurants in the world.
Thank you for joining the Free Time Mastermind podcast. I'm your host, Robert Gaines. In Chapter 7 of Scintilla, the ultimate guide to generating business ideas, products, and services, we mention launching a tour guide business, and that's exactly what Nicki van Ingen Schenau did in Tokyo, Japan. We talk beginning steps all the way to scaling and duplication. Here's Nicki. So you started your tour company in 2013, but some of your travel actually started when you went to the university. You ended up in China. Can you talk us through how that happened?
I had to pick a foreign language in university, and all of them were already at intermediate level. The only one that was at the beginner's level was Mandarin Chinese, and it was like late 90s, so China started booming. So I thought, oh, well, that sounds interesting. Why not try that? So, in order to be allowed to even start with the course, you had to do this aptitude test in Limburg, the south of the country, at a different school. And for 1 week, you had to do all these exams, and for every individual part, you had to score at least 70% or higher, or you were not allowed to continue with the course. So we started off with 20 people, and then a lot of people didn't pass. And then in the third year of uni, there were only 3 people left, me and 2 other girls. So people that didn't pass the rest of the course, those kind of things, or decided Mandarin wasn't for them. So they decided from the university that it would be cheaper to just send us to China and study in China as opposed to having someone come and teach at our school. So all of us received 4,000 euros, and we were sent to Beijing to study there at the Beijing Polytechnic University for 6 months. And yeah, it was an incredible time. I really enjoyed it a lot.
And the university initially was in the Netherlands, is that correct?
Yes, so my university was in Rotterdam. It doesn't exist anymore. It's been taken over by some conglomerate. But yeah, those were exciting times. This was before Google even, so you didn't have Google Maps. You had to go to internet cafes to send emails, and you didn't have Google Translate or any of that stuff. So it was definitely a big adventure. And of course, having blonde hair, people would ask, "Can I have my picture taken with you?" And so I felt like I was some kind of celebrity when I lived there.
That's funny. And you're in one of the truly international cities right now. You're in Amsterdam, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I'm 2021. I've moved back from Tokyo to Amsterdam to live here again because it was the pandemic, and my business, Tokio Tours, is focused on inbound travel to Japan. So I didn't have any income. So I thought, well, it's really hard for me to find a proper job in Japan. And also, it's so hardcore. If you have a job in Japan, you only get 10 holidays a year, and you're not supposed to take them to go on a trip. So, um, the reason for that is if you travel for an extended period, then that puts additional pressure on your coworkers. So that's considered super rude. So even if they have holidays, they never take it. Only like if there's a national holiday on a Monday or on a Friday, you might take a Thursday off or Tuesday off or something, but you don't go on extended holidays. So I was like, yeah, maybe it's a good time for me to go back to Amsterdam. I think I've had enough of Japan for now.
And you know, one of the toughest parts that companies have, other than getting off the ground, which we talked a little bit about that off camera. And just to recap, when you started your website, you got some initial traction very quickly,
Yeah.
and started adding people to your team roster, which is amazing because most some of the people that I talk to that are in similar industries, it was a very slow burn for them. It was a very slow build, but you started getting contacted, and I remember you said, you know, you kind of built it as it went, which is great. And we talked a little bit about pricing strategy. So of course you were looking around at what are the other people doing Tokyo Tours charging, and but it got off the ground very quick because the three things that I look at when I'm analyzing a business is it profitable? Is it scalable? Is it duplicatable? And
Mhm.
you got part of that, you know, into that very, very early. And I think some of that, what was your degree in? Which, because I think that's part and parcel to,
Economics.
and see, that really matters. Economics and marketing, if you go into a business with that mindset, do you think that that university degree was helpful in your path?
Back in the day, for sure. Yeah, like knowing how to start up a business, knowing how to do your own admin, and your own taxes. Because in the beginning, you don't have money for an accountant. If you pay an accountant, you barely have anything left for yourself. So at first, you need to do as much as possible by yourself because otherwise it just doesn't make any sense because you're just working to pay other people for their services.
You had mentioned uh, you had duplicated yourself very early on. Someone approached you about doing tours, and that's when you realized, hey, I could actually sit here, you know, be in front of the computer, and somebody else is doing the tour, and I'm still making the money. Can you tell us how that all came about?
Yeah, so 3 months in, I was contacted by this girl, and she sent me an email that said, "Oh, I see that you offer guided tours. Would you consider hiring me?" And at first, I was like, hiring you? I've never considered hiring anyone. I'm a tour guide, so I'm just an independent operator. And but then I started thinking about it. So basically it means you're working and I'm getting paid. Like, ah, that sounds like a great deal. Yeah, for sure. Come work for me. I'd love to have you on board. And then as soon as I noticed, like, oh, this is going like gangbusters. This is amazing. I hardly have to do anything and I get money everywhere and I get a lot of requests. So why don't I start looking around and see if I can hire more people and contact more travel agents and more uh, people I can collaborate with and see if I can grow this.
And you had a brilliant strategy early on that involved making sure that you had a lot of reviews to push yourself up in Google. Can you explain that to people how that works?
Yeah, so basically, um, if you have paid for an ad on Google, you see the sponsored ad at the top. Um, but on Google Maps, if you have a lot of reviews, they don't show the sponsored links. Then it's based on the company that has the most reviews. That's shown first, or it can be also based on distance, but usually it's the one with the highest number of reviews that you'll see first. So that way you can avoid doing the sponsored ads and just make sure that every time you offer your services to someone, I have a QR code on my phone. So I gave those out to all my guides. So I always tell them, like at the end of the tour, just show your phone and ask, can you scan this QR code? And then they're immediately sent to the review page of our Google account. And then it takes like 5 seconds to fill out a 5-star review and to say, yeah, it was great. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it, or whatever.
On your website, which is fantastic. People should check that out. It makes, when I looked at it, I thought, because I've been wanting to go to Japan since I was a kid. I read books by Japanese authors in my teenage years, and I just never have gotten around there. But the website really enticed me. And there's new stuff there that I didn't know about. Like one thing that I pulled up, which I'd seen the photos, but I didn't even know that it was in Japan. But the Team Labs Planet Tokyo, the exposition there. I guess it's a museum, and some people have probably seen these. It's very hard to describe, but kind of these roundish chrome shapes in this almost forest of green, and it's an art display, which is I think
Yeah.
it's one of the number one museums in the world now that people are
Yeah,
going to.
they recently received Guinness Book World Record for the top number of people visiting there. So a lot of the displays, they're like displayed on the walls and all around you. So if you touch something, it will change into something else, or just if you wait, it will change into something else. Or some of the rooms even have smells or water or things you can touch. So it's based on kind of giving you all senses sensation. So it's not just looking at things, it's also smelling and touching. And so it's quite interesting, I think.
Very immersive. Just one of
Yeah.
many new things in Japan since the last time I checked it out. But they definitely should take a look at your site because you offer quite a bit. I was surprised at the different offerings there. And you mentioned off camera, you're actually working on some new packages. So can you talk about the initial product development? Was it based just on walking tours, and then take us through the evolution of that service up to the packages that you're about to start offering?
Okay, so when I started the tours, I had a few strategies. Of course, the very first tour I developed myself was a Tokyo Highlights tour for people who come to Japan, only have like 1 or 2 days in Tokyo and want to make sure that they cross off all the things off their list. And then as soon as I started hiring people, I was asking them as well. So if you were me, what kind of products would you offer? Or is there any area that you feel particularly comfortable with showing people around? And what we have been doing for a few years in the off season is we ask guides if they're very knowledgeable in 1 or 2 areas to do like a training tour, and then they'll just show off their area, like show all the other guides like, okay, and this is where you have to go, and this is where you have to have lunch, and this is the background story. So we do a lot of training tours as well. And yeah, that's basically how we stay up to date. And also we have several chat groups uh, for the guides as well. So they can ask each other for advice. They can share information. Like I saw this news article about this and this. This site is currently under reconstruction. So make sure if you go there that you inform the client or whatever. So that really helped to form like collaboration between the guys, because basically everyone works independently. They work from home. So there's not a lot of overlap. I mean, if it's a busy season, like for April 2025, 3 weeks ago, we were already at 400 tours just for April alone. So I'm sure it's more now. So obviously, the guides, when they do the tours, they often run into each other and like, hey, hi, how are you? But normally, they don't really get a chance to interact with each other. And through these collaborative training tours, they get to see each other. Or sometimes they ask, I'm going out to this new restaurant. Is there anyone who wants to tag along? Let's meet up or something. And that really helps to, yeah, form more of a bond and to have more of a feeling like, okay, we are the Tokyo Tours family. And that also helps to create new ideas, like what are new products that we can develop, what are some of the questions we get from clients, how can we improve because I feel there's different kind of leaders. There's leaders that are like, okay, I'm the boss, I know everything. You just need to shut up and do as I say. And I'm totally the opposite. I'm like, I'm basically an idiot. I know nothing. So I rely on you to help me to become better. So if you have any feedback for me at all, it doesn't matter on which area, then please let me know, because I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to improve. So if you have any ideas, there's no such thing as stupid questions or stupid ideas. Let's see if we can make it work.
Now, you started on your own in 2013,
Hmm.
and according to the biography online, you took on a partner in 2018. People will sometimes take on partners either just in general, usually either for financial reasons or they have some type of skill or they can broker a type of deal. What was the dynamics and how did the business change once you brought a partner on board? Because there's always a change in the flow of the stream when more people are
Yeah,
added.
exactly. Well, basically, in 2018, we were supposed to move back to the Netherlands. So I thought I'm going back to the Netherlands for good. And I had one of my guys that I worked with a lot. So I asked her for a meeting and I said, oh, I think I'm going to move back to the Netherlands. Would you consider buying the company from me? And she said, oh, no, that sounds like a rubbish idea. I have no interest in that whatsoever. But would you consider a partnership, a 50-50? And then I was like, hmm, I never considered that, but I would be interested to see what your thoughts are and see if we can make it happen. And basically, she is kind of like the polar opposite of me. So she's much more introverted, and she loves structure. She loves working with Excel. Loves, she's very precise. So she loves everything to be correct. And I'm more of like the broad ideas. I like to be creative. I'm very enthusiastic. So sometimes I leap before I think. So she's very risk averse. So that's why we work really well together, because I have what she doesn't have and vice versa. So sometimes we clash a bit on the risk aspect because I want to move forward and she's the one holding me back. But I've learned that sometimes it takes some time for her to get used to the idea. So if I receive some kind of resistance, like, no, I don't think that's a good idea, then I'm like, okay, so in 3 months' time, I'm going to circle back and see how you feel and try again. And sometimes it takes me a few tries to push her into the direction that I want to take. But eventually, she usually sees the benefit in it. And sometimes I need to put my ideas to the side and agree, like, oh, I think you're right, maybe it was a bad idea to begin with, and let's just forget about it and move on to something else. So I think that's why we really work well. The only um pivotal point is that she really doesn't like to delegate. She is a perfectionist and she wants to do everything herself. So that's an issue with scalability, because she doesn't want to hand over anything, any control, any jobs. She's too scared. So that's why I'm starting a new business with a different partner that is geared towards package deals. So that's hotels. We're looking into flights, Japanese rail pass, private drivers, excursions. So the whole thing. So more of a holistic approach, and not just Japan, but also other countries in Asia. So we can still grow, or I can still grow, and I don't interfere with my partner and push her in ways that she doesn't want to be pushed. I mean, I respect that she likes to do things her own way and she doesn't want to hand over control. So as long as she doesn't want to do that, I'm going to be okay with that. I'm just finding different avenues to grow.
What sounds really exciting as part of the plans that you mentioned is that you're going beyond Japan. Do you have some key countries in mind that you'd like to start with first beyond Japan?
Yeah, so right now we're focusing on Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, Korea, uh yeah, those countries. And then we'll set that up first, and then when we have the infrastructure in place, then we'll look for other partners to collaborate with, because the good part of this business is that it's very easy to scale up, so we can go from Asia to other continents as well. And also the web developer that we're working with knows a lot about AI. So he's proposing to have a AI assistant on the website to help people get through the website, to help with the whole customer journey, and for this AI assistant to help assemble the right package for the right client, so they know exactly what to expect and it really meets their expectations and their needs. Whereas a lot of the time when people go to a website or even go to a physical travel agent to book something, it's so overwhelming. It's like, okay, so 3 weeks of Japan, and these are all the rail companies that you'll be using. These are all the hotels. This is how you need to get there. And that's also one of the things that I noticed from clients that book through travel agencies, that is just so overwhelming. And even if everything is written out, it's really hard for them to go through it. They don't really understand it. That's also one of the reasons why I started writing travel guides, because even if a travel agency has completely mapped out everything, we do this thing that's called airport pickup and assist. That means that once you arrive at the airport, someone is coming over to help you exchange your rail pass voucher and to book all your train tickets. But the train tickets need to be at a certain time because you are booking a specific train. So they would have to go, like, for instance, from Tokyo to Hakone. And then I would ask them, so, okay, what time do you want to leave? And they would have no idea. Like, oh, I haven't really thought about what I want to do that day. Like, do I want to stay longer in Tokyo and do some things there, or do I want to be early in Hakone? And what about the connections and all of that? So they would be like, oh, 11, just at the top of their mind, where that might not have been the best decision for them, but because they're so rushed, they just blurt out whatever comes to mind. So that's why I created a travel guide that really takes people by the hand and has a itinerary planned out for every day. Like, okay, so you're going to get up at this time, this is where you're going to have breakfast, and this is what you're going to do all day long, and this is how to get there. Here you have to take the train, this is the name of the train, this is will be at this time, you arrive there. So really take people by the hand, because a lot of the current guides out there are more focused on, okay, so here's Japan, here's Tokyo, here are the different areas inside Tokyo. Here's a list of what's fun to do in that area. But then it's still up to you to decide, what am I going to do all day? And what are the distances like? Can I see this, and this in one day? Is that possible to do? Or would you recommend I do something else? So with the current guides, it still depends very heavily on the individual traveler to do a lot of research. Whereas with my guidebook, you don't really have to do any of that. You can just take it as it is and just follow my instructions based on more than 10 years living and working in Japan.
And you make it easy. That's what they want. When
Yeah.
people go on vacation, they want to see as much as they can. Well, some people do. Some people just like me. I love food. I love to experience cultures through food. So I tend to. I love the museums and the galleries and architecture is a big thing for me too. But as long as I get some good meals, that's always a big requirement. I want to taste the local food, and that's always important to me. We'll go back into the some of the new streams of revenue that you're adding, but I wanted to jump back into Japan just for a moment, just for people out there to understand some great high points of Japan. I'll ask you two questions. One is, what is one thing if they have to see, if they could only see one thing in Japan, what's the one not to miss thing that they absolutely have to see when they go?
Mhm.
And then the second would be, what's something that gets a lot of hype, but it's not like people come to the US and they go to see Mount Rushmore and it's a lot smaller.
Mm.
Something like that where it's a bit
Yeah.
of a letdown.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, must see. Yeah, I think people don't take enough time to really see Tokyo. A lot of people arrive in Tokyo and they only have 2 days. And they don't really take the time to properly see Tokyo. And also, they come to Tokyo, and the first thing they do is visit temples. But especially in Kyoto, Kyoto is very heavy on the temples. There's not a lot of other things you can do. So I would advise people take more time in Tokyo and see more of the off the beaten track stuff or some of the amazing museums that we have, and save the temples and shrines for when you come to Kyoto, because um we often have people that are like, oh, no more temples, no more shrines, I've seen so many of them already. So yeah, you really need to spread out the activities along your trip. And I think one of the most underrated places to go is Koyasan. Not many people have that on their itinerary. So Koyasan is a mountain where Buddhism began. So a Buddhist priest traveled from China to Japan, went up the mountain, opened his monastery, and started teaching Buddhist teachings. But to go up there, it's so peaceful. There's like these 1,000-year-old cedar trees. Yeah, there are a lot of Buddhist temples, obviously, but just the atmosphere, the smell, after you've been traveling and you felt that frenetic energy of Japan, suddenly everything kind of like a weight falls from your shoulders and you can really relax, and you can do some Buddhist ceremonies as well, and it's just like you're in a totally different world. It's really a nice experience. And as far as the most the thing that a lot of people want to do that's actually not really worth it, I would say there's two. There's Fuji Mountain, because you only have 30% chance on any given day that you're able to see Mount Fuji, because it's 3,000-meter tall. So even if there's just one cloud in the sky and it's like a clear blue sky, other than that, it's going to be in front of Mount Fuji. So uh, you're most likely not going to be able to see Mount Fuji except in certain seasons where there's more clear blue skies. Also, climbing Mount Fuji, it's gotten so popular that it's like a traffic jam going up the mountain. So you're just slowly one person behind the other. And if you are on Mount Fuji, you obviously cannot see Mount Fuji. So I would suggest, if you want to climb a mountain, climb a different mountain. There's the Japanese Alps, so there's many areas where you can climb up a mountain and see Mount Fuji.
That's great. I had no idea. Well, you sold me on the foundation of Buddhism because I love that, and it's a great contrast to Tokyo. The light and the bustle of Tokyo. Now, all the way from the initial time I've ever been interested in visiting Japan, I hear something about Japan that I hear very similar talked about when it comes to Hawaii is the expense. What usually
Mhm.
anytime somebody talks about those two places, it's always, and it was so expensive. Is that still true? And are there smart ways to mitigate the expense?
No, not at all. The yen is quite low compared to the US dollar and compared to the euro. So the conversion rate is actually quite good. There hasn't been any or hardly any inflation in the last 10 years or so. So the prices are generally quite low. So the thing that you need to be careful of is the flight. So you need to ideally book that far in advance. Usually in January, if you book then, the flights are quite reasonable because the airlines still want to get as many people on the plane so it can actually take off. And the hotels. So if you book that far in advance as well, then those are the two biggest items that take up a portion of your budget. But as far as food is concerned, Japanese people don't have a lot of time. They often live in small dwellings. So it's not uncommon for people to have 3 meals outside of the home. So convenience stores is a great place where you can buy cheap food. They have microwaves at every convenience store, so you can even ask if they can heat it up for you and just go to a park or whatever and eat it there, go back to your hotel room. A lot of hotels will have a coin laundry service. So you don't need to pack a lot of clothes. So you can just have like a small hand baggage trolley and just keep laundering your clothes. And you're going to be at your hotel at night anyway. So if you do like a 30-minute quick wash and dry, then the next morning you can wear your clothes again. So you don't have to take a lot of luggage. Um, and because a lot of Japanese people don't eat at home, there is an abundance of restaurants. And there's a lot of places like chain restaurants and family restaurants that are super cheap where you can um, have a meal for like $6, $7. So it's really not that expensive. So of course you can also go to Michelin star restaurant. Like Tokyo has the largest number of Michelin star restaurants in the world. But if you have a small budget and you only have like $100 a day to eat, or even $50 a day, it's easily doable.
That's a surprise. That is a surprise. That's good. And of course, the gastronomy, the cuisine in Japan is legendary. That's another reason why I'd be very excited to go over there. I don't know if I'd want to do the $300 a plate. I've seen some of those, TikToks and things like that. I don't need gold leaf in the food. I just want the flavor. The presentation is nice, but and to be in a nice restaurant with a nice view, that's good too. But to me, it's the flavor, the preparation, the excellence of the ingredients and the love that they use to put it together. And they seem to be very methodical in their methodology and almost everything that they do. Is that a misconcept that we have here in the United States from watching, Japanese films, or do they really take exceptional care in most of the things that they do?
Well, I am not sure if you ever heard of the principle of Kaizen.
Yes, yes, yes.
Kaizen basically means that day by day you want to uh, be like 1% better than the day before. So even sushi chefs that have been preparing sushi for like 30, 40 years, they feel that they're still a student and there's always room to grow. So every day they strive to be a little bit better than the day before, and they never consider themselves masters, even if we feel they are, even if they have two Michelin stars already, then they're still like, no, I'm still learning. So yeah, they're very methodological, and they strive for excellence in every day and strive to be a little bit better than the day before.
I wanted to make sure in wrapping up that we got to cover the ebooks because when you said guides earlier, I wasn't sure if that was also part of the ebook project on Amazon or is that completely separate?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to start new website where like ebook a web shop where you can download all of my ebooks. Um, and I'm also going to offer it through Amazon and a Dutch platform called Bol. Um, but yeah, so those are the travel guides. And then we have the physical guides, the people that live in Japan that can show you around if you want to really not think at all and just follow someone around. So those are the options we have.
Is there any interest in converting? Because I know not all ebooks convert well into an audiobook, but did you have any interest in having some of those narrated, or do they, or does the format fit with that?
Yeah, that doesn't really fit because it's kind of an interactive book, so it has a lot
Oh,
of links. So you can download it on your phone, and then you can just click all the links, like, oh, where can I make the reservations? It will have links to Google Maps, like instructions on how to go from A to B. It has some explanation about like the Japanese luggage service. A lot of people don't know that, but there is a thing called Takubin, and basically all hotels have this service, but it's not advertised. So if you don't know about it, then you're not going to realize. But you can send your luggage up ahead to the next hotel. So it takes more than 24 hours. So you definitely need a backpack or something with a change of clothes for at least one night, but the rest of your luggage you can already send to another destination, and then they'll keep it for you there until you arrive, and then you don't have to travel with a big piece of luggage, because there's certain destinations that rely heavily on buses or trams or other type of transportation that is quite small, that doesn't lend itself to have this huge suitcase with you. And it's also quite inexpensive. It's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 yen, so that would be like $6 to $12 to have your luggage forwarded.
very cheap.
And it's, yeah, it's super nice, because then like in the subway there's lots of stairs. Oftentimes there's no escalator, or people are going to be annoyed that you're there with this huge piece of luggage. So if you forward it and you just have a small backpack, it's so much easier. So all of that is also explained in the guide, how to do it, and why you should do it, and what is the cost, and that kind of thing.
And that's a brilliant way for you to add multiple streams of revenue to your business. So that's great. You know, we
Yeah.
talked about scalable, duplicatable, profitable, and you've got all of that in there. That's great. Do you belong to any mastermind groups or do you have any mentorship? Because obviously you're responding to feedback and growing because of that. Are you plugged in with other entrepreneurs where you're able to come up with ideas and generate those?
No, I'm not part of any master classes or any entrepreneur groups or anything. I'm I'm basically always on. I'm always working. So even in my free time, I'm always on social media. I'm always on LinkedIn, always checking what's the next big thing. And I ask a lot of questions. So what makes you a success? Where do you add value in your current job? And see if there's no takeaways that I can use to enhance my own business.
I like the way you think. That's great. I mean, that's Kaizen, because I studied a little bit of that in college because that's part of the Toyota production system. So
Yes.
Kaizen, the process of continuous improvement, which I think is fantastic. I don't really know where that would be a downside in any endeavor, whether it be a relationship, the way you prepare food, or your business. So that's great. So you've got this Kaizen philosophy to your business too, always trying to tweak it. Now, how can people find you, Nicki? That's people want to know if especially if they're wanting to check out and they're curious about Japan. What are the best ways they can connect with you?
So they can connect through my websites. I have two, www.tokyotours.com and .nl. And Tokyo is spelled the Dutch way, so not with the Y, but with the I. So Tokio Tours .com or .nl. You can also find me on any social media platform at Tokyo Tours. Um, and yeah, you can connect with me through LinkedIn. I have my business page there, but you can also connect to me personally. Um, I'm also currently working on another startup because through Tokyo Tours, I noticed that there were a lot of entrepreneurs that had a lot of questions about entering the Japanese market. So I'm working on a new website where people can make an appointment with me for coaching or for advice, and we also offer specialized tours. We call them market exploration safaris, where we take entrepreneurs by the hand and show them different kind of markets in Japan. So it can be clothing, it can be food, it can be um, robotics, it can be automation, it can be anything. I have so many connections in Japan, so if there are entrepreneurs out there that want to enter the Japanese markets but they don't know where to begin, or they want to know how to do business in Japan, I also do lectures for companies, like what are the faux pas where you can't even get your foot in the door because you did something you didn't even know was offensive. So yeah, that's also something I'm working on.
Well, Nicki, it's amazing. You've got so many irons in the fire. Keep us posted on those new links that are going to be coming up. We'll continue to add those in the description
Mhm.
in the YouTube video. So we'll be happy to update those.
Some advice for people that would like to become an entrepreneur, are thinking about it, but are not actually actively doing anything about it. They're just thinking about their ideas. Just get out there and do it and be stupid and make mistakes. And like the inventor of Dyson, he made like 600 prototypes or something, and none of them worked. So his friends started saying, like, why do you continue to work on this? Obviously, it's not working, and obviously, it's not worth putting time in. You've already made 600 mistakes, and you're never going to get there. And he said, no, I now know 600 ways not to get to a Dyson vacuum cleaner. So that's actually quite helpful and quite productive for me. And I know that if I stay at it, that at one point I'm going to get there. So don't get discouraged by other people or by yourself thinking everything needs to be perfect and I cannot launch until I have everything under control and I know everything there is to know. No, just go out and do it. And okay, you're going to be stupid. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose customers. Something's going to happen, but you're strong enough. You're able to overcome all those issues and you'll come out on top as long as you have that Kaizen approach where you strive to be a little bit different and a little bit better than the day before.
Great advice, Nicki. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Free Time Mastermind podcast. I'm your host, Robert Gaines. To support the channel, please click like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode. The book Scintilla, The Ultimate Guide to Generating Business Ideas, Products, and Services, is now available on Amazon. It's available as an ebook, softcover, and hardcover. Please find the link to the Amazon page in the description, as well as other links relevant to this episode.